Hi there, and welcome to this lesson on percentage increase and decrease. Now, I know I say this every single time about how useful these mathematical skills are in real life, but this one is just incredibly important. I'm sure you can probably see why. When you're all millionaires and you want to find out the percentage increase and decrease of profits in your business and etc. You'll be able to figure this one out. So let's look at this first question here. Increase 80 millilitres by 9%. So increasing 80 millilitres by 9%. So let's just first talk about what increase actually means. When we think of increase, we think of it getting larger. Okay, so increasing is growth. So what we're going to do is if we're increasing something by 9%, what we've actually got is 100% and 9% of the original. So we're going to start off by starting off with 100%. And because we're increasing, we're going to add. And how much are we increasing by? We're increasing by 9%. So we're going to add 9%, like that. If we do that sum, we end up with 109%. And now this is, if you haven't seen it already, I'd watch the lesson on finding a percentage of amount, because this is going to look very similar. So we take our 109% and we divide that by 100, and that gives us 1.09. And now we take our 80 millilitres, our amount, and we times that by 1.09. And then if you get your calculator, do 80 times by 1.09, and that's going to give you 87.2 millilitres, like so. And that there is your final answer. So let's go over the steps one more time for finding a percentage increase. We start off with 100%, and because it's increase, we add, and then we add by what we're increasing it by to get our new percentage. And then now we have to find a multiplier. So we do 109%, we divide it by 100 to get our multiplier. And we take our multiplier and we times it by our amount to get our final answer over here. Hopefully all those little arrows made sense. Okay, so pause the video here. Copy out the workings for this example on the left-hand side, and then have a go at the question here on the right-hand side. And once you've done, play the video and I'll go through the answers. Okay, fantastic. Let's look at this. So we are increasing 80 millilitres by 7%. So we're increasing, so that's 100%, and increase means getting bigger, so we're going to add our 7% to get 107%. Now we're going to find our percentage multiplier, so we do that by taking 107% and dividing it by 100. To give us 1.07. Now we take our amount, so that's 80 millilitres. We times that by 1.07. If we do that on our calculator, 80 times by 1.07 gives us 85.6 millilitres. And there's your final answer. That's 80 millilitres increased by 7% is 85.6 millilitres. If you got that, give yourself a few ticks here. Okay, fantastic. Righty, right. Let's look at another example. So question 2, decrease 8 kilograms by 12%. Decrease 8 kilograms by 12%. Okay, so this one's different because instead of increasing, we're decreasing. But apart from that, everything else is pretty similar. So I'm going to start off exactly the same way. I'm going to start off with 100%. But because it's decreasing means getting smaller. So as opposed to adding, like we did up here, I'm going to take away my percentage. So 100% take away 12%. And if I do that, I end up with 88%. So from here on in, it's going to look very similar to the first one. We need to find now our percentage multiplier. So 88% divided by 100 gives us 0.88. And this is now our new percentage multiplier. So we take our 8 kilograms, 8 kg, and we times that by our percentage multiplier, so 0.88. If we do that on a calculator, 8 times by 0.88 gives us 7.04 kilograms. And that's our final answer there. So the only difference here between this one and the first one is because it's decrease, it's take away up there. Let's get rid of that because that looks like an equal sign. Okay, so pause the video here, copy out the working for that left-hand example, and then have a go at this right-hand example. And once you've done, play the video again and I'll go through the answer. Okay, so let's go through this. We are decreasing 8 kilos by 17%. Decrease 8 kilos by 17%. So I'm going to start off with my 100%. And because it's decrease, I'm taking away. And I'm taking away 17%. If I do that, I end up with 83%. Now I need to find my percentage multiplier. So 83%. We're going to divide that by 100. And that gives me 0.83 as my percentage multiplier. Now we're going to take our amount, which is 8 kilos. And we're going to times that by our percentage multiplier. So times it by 0.83. If we do that on a calculator, 8 times 0.83 gives us 6.64 kilograms. And that's your final answer there. If you got that, give yourself some ticks. Well done. Okay, let's look at our third and final example set here. So, increase 90 millilitres by 7.5%. So, increasing 90 millilitres by 7.5%. Well, we know how to increase. The only tricky thing here is that our percentage has a decimal in it. But that shouldn't be a problem. Let's just attack this how we've attacked all the others. So we start off with our 100%. And it's increasing. That means we add on the percentage. So we're adding on 7.5%. And if we do that, we get 107.5%. Okay, so we need to now find our percentage multiplier. So 107.5%. We're going to divide that by 100. And that gives us 1.075%. 1.075, because we need to move this decimal place up 2 positions to the right, up to there. Okay, so now we have our multiply. Good. Let's take our amount, so 90 millilitres, and times that by 1.075. If we do that on a calculator, 90 times by 1.075 gives us 96.75 millilitres. Okay, so exactly the same as the first example, any increase question. It's just that this one had a decimal place, so it's just a tiny bit harder, but you should all be able to do that by now, hopefully. And that's our final answer there. Okay, so copy out the workings for this third question, pause the video, and then have a go at doing this right-hand example here, and then play the video once you're done, and I'll whiz through the answer. Okay, let's go through the answer. So we're increasing 90 millilitres by 11.5%. So we're increasing 90 millilitres by 11.5%. So start this how we've always started it, 100%. And we're increasing, therefore we're adding 11.5%. And if we do that, we get 111.5%, like so. Now we need to find our percentage multiplier, so that's 111.5% divided by 100, and that gives us 1.115. This is our percentage multiplier. So we take our amount, which is 90 millilitres, we times that by our percentage multiplier, so 1.115. If we do that on the calculator, 90 millilitres times by 1.115 gives us 100.35 millilitres, and that there is your final answer. Remember always to put units. Units are really important. And often in an exam, they will probably give you, say if this was a 2-3 mark question, they'd probably give you 1 mark for actually the units themselves. So units are very, very important. If you got that, give yourself some ticks. Well done. Well done. Okay. So down here are 3 checks for you to do. Now, they follow a very similar format to the 3 example pairs that we've done up top. So, what I would do is I'd pause the video here, I'd go through all 3 checks, and then once you think you've done all 3, play the video, and I'll go through the answers and we can mark them. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at all 3 by now. Let's start off with this first one here. So what we're doing, we're increasing £24 by 17%, increasing. So that means I've got my 100% and I'm increasing, so I'm adding 17%. And that gives me 117% like that. Now I need to find my percentage multiplier, so that's 117% divided by 100 gives me 1.17. Now I take my amount, which is £24, and I times that by my multiplier, which is 1.17. If I do that on a calculator, 24 times 1.17 gives me £28.08. Fantastic. If you got that, give yourself some ticks. Well done. Let's have a look at the second example. So decrease 123 millilitres by 24%. So decrease 123 millilitres by 24%. So it's decreasing. So we have 100% take away, because it's decreasing, 24%. And if I do that, I get 76%. Now I need to find my percentage multiplier, so 76% divided by 100 gives me 0.76. Now I take my amount, which is 123 millilitres, and I times that by my percentage multiplier, which is 0.76. If I do that on my calculator, 123 times 0.76 gives me 93.48 millilitres. And that's my final answer. If you got that, fantastic. Give yourself some ticks there. And let's look at this third and final example over here. So, what are we doing? We're increasing 9 kilos by 13.6%. Increase 9 kilos by 13.6%. So we start off with our 100%. And we're increasing, therefore we're adding our 13.6%. And if we do that, we get 113.6%, like that. Now we need to find our percentage multiplier, so we take our 113.6%, we divide it by 100, which gives us 1.136. We now take our amount, which is 9 kilos, and we times that by our percentage multiplier, which is 1.136. If I'm to do that on my calculator, 9 times 1.136 gives me 10.224 kilograms. And that's my final answer. If you've got that, give that a couple of ticks there, like that. Okay, fantastic. So, if you can do all those, that's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, very, very impressed. Because, like I said, this is a really good skill to hammer home and have in real life and also in the exams, because this stuff comes up all the time and it can often come up disguised in more worded, in a more like wordy style. So, yeah, you really need to know how to do this skill. Okay, what I suggest you do now is in the comments, I've linked a worksheet to a Corbett Maths worksheet, which is absolutely fantastic, and it covers everything you could ever want for increasing and decreasing percentages. So if I was you, I would click on that worksheet now and I'd have a go, and you can find the answers by clicking where it says answers, basically, and I'll go along and I'll do as many as you can, mark them, check, do a question, mark it, do a question, mark it. Yeah, fantastic, guys. All the best, and I shall see you in the next lesson. Well done.